Right, this is then the last video to now try and see if we can do everything now or connect up everything so that it works. Right, so the first thing I want to do is to quickly display these two fragments at the bottom. So I'm going to show you how to make a connection to all of the fragments, and then you can decide how to hide and view them. So I'm going to go to the main activity now, and in the main activity I want to create a few declarations there at the top. So I'm going to use a fragment manager, and let's just call it fragment manager. We will also use fragments. So I'm going to say fragment there, and what I want to use is the button frag. I want to use or get a hold of the list frag. I want to get a hold of the car info frag, and I want to get a hold of the owner info fragment. Now before we do this, let's just quickly go to the main activity and make sure that we've got IDs for all of them. So this one is called list frag. If you go down, this fragment, which is the button fragment, let's just name this one as the button frag. Then this one, you can see it is the car info frag. So let's call it car info frag. And then this one is the owner info frag. So let's give the ID there, owner info frag. So make sure that you've got your IDs there. Now if the IDs are there, we can go now back to the main activity and get a link to those. So now here somewhere, we're going to have the fragment manager equals get support fragment manager, so that you work with the support libraries. Now let's get a hold of all of those fragments. So I'm going to say button frag, or let's start with the list frag. List frag equals fragment manager dot find the fragment by its ID r.id dot list frag. And now that gets you a hold of the list fragment. So let's do the same for the button frag then. It's also fragment manager dot find the fragment by its ID r.id dot button frag. Okay, so now again that could be a problem. Let's just go to the build and clean your project. Right, so let's see if we can, there we go, button frag, and then we'll have also the car info frag is fragment manager dot find the fragment by its ID r.id dot car info frag. And then to get the last fragment there, which is the owner info frag, we can also go and say fragment manager dot find the fragment by its ID, and we called it owner info frag. Right, so now we've got a connection to all of those fragments, and what we want to do right at the start is to go to the fragment manager, begin a transaction so that we can start showing and hiding fragments. So the first one will be to show a specific fragment, and we want to show the button fragment right at the beginning. We also want to show the list frag. We also want to show the car info frag, and the one that we want to hide right at the start is then the owner info frag, and then we can go and commit all of these changes. Right, so you can choose on which one of these two to start right at the beginning. So I'm going to start showing the car info frag. So if we run this now, let's just see how it will look. I'm going to show the picture first of the car information. Right, let's see how it runs. Okay, so you can see right at the start it shows only this fragment. It's now hidden the owner info frag. So let's do these two buttons to change between the two fragments. So then if we click on owner info and on car info, we can then make the changes. So I'm going to copy this quickly and just paste it there. So what do we want to do? We do not want to do anything on the button frag. It's already showing. The list frag is already showing. So only two things that we want is these two. So I'm going to say if we click on btn owner info, then we want to show the owner info. So this one will become show, and this one will become hide. Okay, so I'm going to copy this one again, and let's use it on this button. Now, if we click on the car info button, we want to show the car info there, and we want to hide the owner info. All right, so let's run this quickly again and see if it works. Right, there it runs. So it's showing the car info currently. If I click on owner info, it shows the owner information. Car info, owner info, car info, owner info. Right, so this one is working nicely now for the 2 buttons. So now the only thing we need to go and do is to set the click events on this. So if I click, then the data must change on both of these fragments. So let's see how we do that. So if you remember that one correctly, you go back to your car adapter, and this is where we make the changes. So first thing, we're going to create an interface here. So it's going to be public interface, and let's call it item clicked again, like in all of the other videos. And we're going to use one method on item clicked, and we're going to pass in an index value there. So now before I carry on here, I want to have my main activity extend that. So I'm going to say, not extend, implement. So we're going to say implements item clicked, and you can see that it wants that method. So you're going to say alt enter, implement methods, choose that one method, and now it's got that item clicked that we defined there on item clicked. Okay, so that method is there. Now we want to create an interface variable, so it's going to be item clicked. I'm going to call it activity. Why? Because I'm going to have this connected to the main activity. Then inside of my car adapter constructor, I want to set this up now. So I'm going to say activity equals converted to item clicked, and using the context. So remember that where we used list frag and we said my adapter is this.getActivity, this.getActivity will be the main activity, it's the one that is hosting it. So if we go back, context is the main activity. We're converting that main activity to an item clicked. Is it possible? Yes, because it has implements item clicked at the top. So that is possible, won't throw an exception. So ultimately, this activity variable there is linked to main activity. So now when we have this on-click listener there, we're going to link up to the activity by just saying activity dot, and there's the method. So now when it gets clicked here, we call activity, which is the main activity. In the main activity, we call on item clicked, and it will activate this method. Now let's go back. So what do we want to do here? We want to go to our cars array list, and we want to get the index of the object that was clicked. So now to get the object that was clicked, we're going to go to view there. We're going to call get tag, and that gets me the tag. So remember there we set the tag of the object. So the one that was clicked will now be cars.getI, or wherever the I value is. And we're going to convert that to a car type. So now when the main activity, when this method then runs, we've got the index where it was clicked in the Recyclerview. So now what do we want to do then if it gets clicked? So obviously if it gets clicked, we've got now a connection to the text view, TV model, TV name, TV telephone number, the make, which is the picture. So there's 4 different things that we want to set there. So let's just set them quickly. So we're going to start with TV, let's say TV name there, dot set text. And now we're going to go to our application class dot cars dot get, and we're passing in that index. So that gets me the object, and we want to get the owner's name. Then the next text view there is the model. We're going to set the text, go to the application classes cars array list, get the index again, and then we're going to say get the model. Then TV tel, to set the telephone number there will be set text, application class dot cars dot get index again, and this time we're going to call get the owner's telephone number. So now we've basically set on our, let me just run this quickly again. Remember there's a text view, an image view that we're going to set now. This text view will be the model. Then on the owner information, we've got 2 text views, which is the name and the telephone number. So we've set them now. So the last thing that we need to set is the picture, and the picture depends on what is the make of that specific vehicle. So we're going to go to the application classes cars variable there, which is the list. We're going to get the index where we're currently at, where it was clicked, and we're going to call get make. And if that make equals now the same values that we did in the car adapter, so we're basically going to do this whole thing again. If it equals Volkswagen or Nissan or whatever. So the first one there, let's do the Volkswagen. And then what we want to do is to go to that image view and we're going to set the image resource to r.drawable.Volkswagen. Okay, so I'm going to do this the same way with the else part there. So else if it is not Volkswagen but Nissan, then this will become that picture, and the else will just be for the Mercedes. So I'm going to copy, paste, and this one will be for Mercedes. Right, let's see if this works. So I'm going to run this quickly. Right, let's see. Okay, so now we can see that right at the start, nothing is set. Okay, but if I click, I've got that E200 with the picture. It's Peter Pollock, so if I go to owner information, I'll see Peter Pollock and its telephone number. Let's go to Navarro there at the bottom. So you can see it's Paul Bunting with his telephone number. If I click on car info, it's the Nissan Navara. Okay, so it's working 100%. But when we started right at the start, it's not showing anything. So the only thing we'll need to do is somewhere inside of your onCreate, we can just call this method. So I'm going to call onItemClicked and passing in the 0 value there, which will click the very first item basically. So if you run this again, there we go. You can see that Polo and Chuck Norris is the very first one that was clicked. Okay, so now I think our application is done. Everything is working as it should. See you in the next one.